first thing that they did, it was very interesting. They did this in China, so they get this unknown, right? So what is one of the first things that they roll out is a mental health plan. Same thing in the United States. No sooner was this announced as a national emergency, and they rolled out a mental health plan, and they said that the average American did not have the internal fortitude to endure a disaster, and so we were all being unofficially declared as mentally ill, needing the help of the health professionals, and we were not of sound mind to be able to deal with this crisis that we're seeing happening right now.
Hello, it's December 2024, and this video is inspired by my personal thoughts on some of the videos that I have shared this past year relating to what I would call woo-woo, some might call it supernatural, use whatever descriptive you want. And I'm just going to pause here for a moment and say that woo-woo type events and spiritual type events are two different types of events. Although there might be a slight overlay between the two, fundamentally they're two different distinct events. So this past year I have shared some of these experiences, and I have provided whatever residual evidence that I have to try to say, well, yeah, or support something happened. Now, are these things that I've provided concrete and it's like, yep? No. Sometimes, and I realize this, that it may only be enough to say, yeah, something happened, but what? And I leave that to whoever was watching the video to make their own conclusions. And I've shared these things realizing, as a descriptive, the risk of sharing these things, because for some people, perhaps many people, they might see it compromising my, as a descriptive, mental integrity, which is fine. You know, it is what it is. And I've said in videos off this topic where if the liberal arts, theoretical pseudoscience of psychology cannot diagnose anything, then how do the commoners, people who haven't experienced anything, for example, on these topics, make any such claim, make any judgment or conclusion about an individual if the so-called professionals can't? To say someone is crazy or something, it's just a way to vilify them, to be able to say that there's something wrong with them, don't have to listen, they're crazy, whatever. But then what is crazy in an insane world? Anyway, I'm kind of going off on a tangent here, but I have shared these experiences and even expanded on some of them by request. And usually these videos, people, when I talk to them, are interested, so I do a video about it. And again, I've had a lifetime of various types of experiences, most of which I can't prove, although there have been times in my life where others have witnessed it, but it's so far back in my history, and some of these people, a lot of these people, most of these people, I've lost touch with over time. So what are you going to do? But if there's any interest from my viewers on perhaps sharing more stories, I'd be happy to. It's, just leave comments in the comment section and see what I can do. But there's another reason why I've shared all this as well, and I've mentioned this briefly in these videos, or at least some of these videos, because everything ties in together. There's nothing that stands alone, that's separate. Say, for example, with the civilization, people look around and they're bewildered, like, wow, why is everything going so crazy? What's behind it all? And for most people, for whatever reason, there's many reasons why, they only look at things superficially, not understanding that there's something bigger going on behind the scenes. For example, things happening beyond greed and profit. Those are just things that are, as a descriptive, given or allowed for people who may, for example, aid with whatever agenda is going on from things beyond human, we'll say. And I've used that phrase before, those beyond human. These things are very real in this world. It all ties in together. Those other things influence what happens here. And I've shared in videos even how some can project directly into a host. They can manipulate, for example, the minds of some, many. Everything is connected. And people, especially people who follow scientism, think, well, we have the pulse of everything. No. We don't know when we are. And even secular scholars say that we're missing anywhere from 200 to 1,000 years of history. And that's what we know of. And that number could even be higher that we know of. We don't know anything about real history. We don't even know the true history, for example, beyond 60, 70 years. But for the sake of argument, let's just go to the beginning of the 1900s. We don't know anything that took place beforehand. People speculate and try to figure things out. And ultimately, just like I've said with religions and belief systems, no one was there to witness anything, to see anything, to know firsthand anything. Even now is in question, but all we have is now, right? So what's the point of trying to figure out what the true history is? We'll never know what true history is. And we don't even know where we are. And that's a whole different tangent, where there are some people who have dedicated their lives to, I want to use as a descriptive, expose, through their own research, through their own experiments, through their own debates and everything else. And these people are just simply trying to get to the truth of everything themselves. But all this woo-woo, and even, dare I say, the spiritual side of life, everything connects together. The wickedness and evil that we see taking place in this world right now, there's influences, for example, beyond human. And I've addressed this over the years, how people say, well, it's human nature to be wicked and evil and greedy and everything else. No. That's a myth that vilifies the human species. Because if that is really how the human species is, then there'd be no civilizations being built. Nothing would be done. There'd be no culture. There would be no anything. And what we observe when there's a catastrophe, people will come together and help each other. Now that's setting aside the social constructs that we see in society. For example, the bystander effect, where say somebody is laying on the ground role-playing someone injured or dying or something, and people just walk past. That is something that's been socially engineered, socially conditioned into people, partly because of the fear of, well, I don't want to get sued if something happens, because you have a bunch of nitwits, real victims of, some medical condition, and these nitwit lawyers who are suing someone because someone did the best that they could to help someone, and maybe something went wrong, maybe something didn't go wrong, but they're saying it did, whatever. So people have this created fear, when instinctively people want to help others. But through social engineering, social conditioning, we don't see that. But what we do see, for example, if there is a massive fire or flooding or something going on, people will come together, help each other get through it, try to solve the problem if it's solvable. But when it's all over, they come together and rebuild themselves. No governing body needs to tell people, hey, we got to put this all back together now and reestablish some order and everything else. People will say, well, we need the government. No, people do these things instinctively. Take, for example, when North America, people were coming, I'm going to calculate my words here, when people were rediscovering North America and they were going on these long journeys and treks. Those people did not know what was on the other side of that mountain. They themselves on their own wanted to go there. And when they found a good spot, they wanted to establish something. There was no governing bodies saying, oh, this is what we're going to do or anything else. Governments were supposed to be limited. And the only thing that they were supposed to do, or still are supposed to do only, is maintain infrastructure. But then it just it went crazy, we'll just say, to micromanaging people's lives. And corporations were supposed to have a limited lifespan, as a descriptive, and corporations were only meant to do business with governing bodies who were maintaining the infrastructures. That was the bridge between people and the government as a corporation, but that too went crazy, out of hand. But behind everything that's going on in the world, there are other things going on, again, beyond human. And if you can't accept it, then hey, so be it. But if you're one of these people who will even consider that, well, your chance of survival is a lot better than those who want to completely dismiss it. And that's all I really want to say. Anyway, thank you for watching. Please like, subscribe, comment, and share.
Listen to this and write it down if you can't remember it. You're never going to outgrow warfare. You simply must learn to fight. I hear people saying to me, oh, when is it going to get easier? When you die.